Hey, I'm back. That's right. I'm not dead. Though this year has been really rough for me. But I'm back. I'm here to record a video. Those of you who are new to my channel, my name is Lizzie. This is the Galactic Gumdrop channel. And today I'm going to be discussing anime. And specifically a rom-com that I recently watched. And I love a good rom-com. And this rom-com that I'm going to talk about today was so close to taking my number one spot. Like, so close. And I love my number one. Like, obviously. But, yeah, it was so close. It's like, it was just boop, boop, boop. And that anime I'm talking about today is HoriMiya, which I found to be a really refreshing and super adorable rom-com. And a fun fact I found out about the anime is it originally was a web manga by Hiroke Adachi. They go by Hiro as their pen name. And they were originally uploading this web manga to their website back in 2011. And it was a 10-volume series. Obviously, the web manga got traffic and eventually became a printed version. And they had Daisuke Hagiwara adapt it into a print manga, and then it was released in monthly G Fantasy. So the manga that they adapted the web manga into, it was called HoriMiya. The original title for the web manga is Hori-san to Miyamura-kun, which are the two main characters' names. HoriMiya as an anime debuted in January 2021, so last year, and it is currently a one-season show with only 13 episodes. Let's get into the good bits. As with a rom-com, you have your two main protagonists who you're kind of fighting for to be together. Our female protagonist is Kyoko Hori-san, and then there is the male protagonist, Izumi Miyamura-kun. So they are our two main protagonists. The basic plot is that these characters never really interacted in school, being because they were on opposite ends of the popularity spectrum. Hori-san is super popular, super well liked by her classmates. She's a high achiever in academics. People come to her for like help with notes and school stuff. So she's really well liked among her class. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, Miyamura-kun, he is super quiet, reserved, very much blends into the background. You know, he doesn't stand out at all, essentially. And you could tell that he's kind of an outcast already in the class because nobody really talks to him. People like whisper about him, like that he's kind of weird and whatnot. So the two start hanging out after Miyamura-kun helps out Hori-san's younger brother and is able to bring her back home. This is outside of school, and Hori first does not even realize that it is Miyamura-kun at first. She can't even recognize him because his appearance is drastically different outside of school. He's got his hair tied back. You can see he's got a ton of piercings. He's not wearing glasses. He's got like a bunch of tattoos, like super hot. He's like super hot outside of school. So she doesn't even recognize him at first. And Hori-san also takes on different characteristics outside of school. She is actually she was super responsible in school, but even more so outside of school. She does most of the cooking and cleaning in their house. She takes care of the younger brother. So she really fills that domestic role very well. They both have these different contrasting characteristics from how they are in school. I think Miyamura way more than Hori. But they still both have that. And so after meeting outside of school, Hori-san's brother really likes Miyamura after helping him out. So they start hanging out together at her house, after school every day and start to get to know each other. And, one thing leads to another. And before you know it, their friendship is starting to blossom into a romantic relationship. Since the two are becoming so close of friends outside of school, though, Hori is not afraid to interact with Miyamura inside of school, and she starts to pull him into her friend group. Because she's so popular, she kind of leads a way for people to interact with Miyamura, and they realize that, actually he's just kind of a normal, nice guy. Like, so that is also something that starts to develop as these romantic feelings start to bud between the two. They do become a couple, and what I really liked about the show is that it doesn't take a painstakingly amount of time for that to happen, because there are a lot of rom-coms where they just like drag it out like almost too long, where you're just like, please, like, I'm begging you, just let them get together. But this show definitely didn't do that, and I think they paced it very well. The characters did have to overcome, you know, a lot of hurdles still to become a couple, like realizing their feelings, realizing the feelings of the other person, you know, fending off other suitors and whatnot. So that they still did very well, but it wasn't like, gosh, you didn't want to just like smack any of the characters because they're doing something so stupid between the main two. There's also like a cast of supporting characters that works really well with the show, and they have little side stories, and I think that it really adds to the show as well, and kind of gives it more depth. But I think the real star of this show is just the development of the characters themselves and the development of the relationships between the characters. So starting with the like main two characters, Hori-san and Miyamura-kun are both hiding certain aspects of themselves from their friends and their family, and they are able to be more confident in who they are as a person after developing this relationship with each other and kind of supporting each other in that. So I feel like that was like just a really beautiful thing to watch unfold. Miyamura especially got this development because he was struggling to even just interact with anyone at school, and he was just so reserved, but you know, he starts to become more confident in who he is, and he realizes that, you know, people don't necessarily need to care what you look like, but they will like you for who you are. He builds a great friendship with one of his classmates, Toru Ishikawa, despite the rocky start that they have at the beginning due to circumstances. And he also builds a really funny and wholesome relationship with Hori's family, especially like her dad. That was like really unexpected and just like very funny to see that play out. So you just see Miyamura grow as a character, and honestly, like by the end of the show, that you're like feeling like a proud parent, like seeing who he was at the start and then who he becomes at the end. Not to mention that he does some really ballsy stuff that like took me by surprise a lot of times. There is a scene in episode 6, I believe, and that scene is one of my favorite scenes in anime, like, period. And it's just, if you've seen the show, I feel like you know which scene I'm talking about. It's the scene with the candy. Like, I was like jaw dropped at that scene. Just saying. Hori also gets some development as a character. I like to argue that it's much less than Miyamura, but she still has it, and it's actually a little bit surprising for her character. Like, she comes off as this very responsible, like super friendly like person at the beginning, and after she gets into this relationship with Miyamura, she becomes very like jealous, and she's kind of possessive of him, but they play it off like pretty funny. Like, one day, Miyamura gets a haircut, and he comes to school, and then all the girls in the class are, like, just starting to notice him now, because they're like, wow, you know, he looks really good with his haircut, and he's, like, not wearing his glasses, I think, and they start, like, sneaking photos of him on their phones. And Hori notices this, and of course, she's like, nah, man, nah, gets all jealous, and decides to just one-up them. Pulls out like this big flashy camera and just like starts paparazziing Miyamura-kun. And it is just so funny to like watch that. She's like, nah, I ain't gonna like yell at them. I'm just gonna one-up them right now. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of the supporting cast also get really good screen time and have really good relationships that add into the story. There are quite a few side relationships that happen, and you get to experience, you know, the crushes, the confessions, the heartbreak, and the resolution between a lot of these other characters in the show. And I think that they sprinkled that in a very nice, beautiful way. Overall, I just thought that this anime was fantastic. At the beginning of the video, I mentioned that it like just barely missed my number 1 spot. My number 1 favorite rom-com is Lovely Complex. And honestly, the reason why I think that this one didn't beat it out is a lot due to nostalgia, and I just personally, and just personal reasons that I'm attached to those other characters. But this show is like fantastic, and I will give it a rating of a 9.5 out of 10. So like real close there, like so close for me for my number one spot. But if you're looking for like a good rom-com or a good slice of life anime, or you just want something a little bit on the lighter side of an anime show, maybe you are interested in rom-com, but you're not really sure where to start to get into it, this would be a great show to start, because they have good comedy elements, good characters, good character development. You get invested in the story and the characters. I just thought it was overall a great show. The season did end with kind of wrapping things up in a nice way, but they did leave openness for a possible second season, and I saw rumors that there might be one coming out at the end of this year. Fingers crossed. I would totally love that. Love to see that. So we'll just have to see. But thank you so much for watching this video, making it all the way to the end. Please like, subscribe, comment below to support my channel. And I'm planning on getting more regular content out now that I'm back. This year, again, it's just been like really rough for me so far. So, but I really missed making videos. So that's why I'm like, we're getting back in it. We're doing it. We're here. We made a video. So that's where I start, right? All right. My socials are also linked below. So please, again, you know, hit the notification bell. Also follow me on Twitter. That's where I post when I'm posting, when I'm uploading. Yes. Yes. And thanks again. Have a great rest of your day.